morning, Belen. I'm Marcelo Hernandez.
And I'm Alex Suarez. And welcome to this edition of WBLN for today, November 30th, 2017.
Yesterday afternoon, 4 seniors were involved in a car accident after school. Ignacio Villasmil and Ignacio Cardinal remain in the hospital. Please keep them in your prayers. Students of the 11th grade class are currently on their junior encounter retreat. This retreat is a great experience for students to engage and grow in their spiritual lives and to become closer as a class. Members of the retreat are asking for prayers as they continue in their experience. Back here at home, while the classmates are on the retreat, the other members of Mrs. Sosa's peer ministry class, and in conjunction with the Beta Club, turned to their creative side and made blankets for the service members around the world. The group is also preparing boxes of supplies to troops. If you would like to get involved, you can see Mrs. Sosa during homeroom. The Ignatian Center for the Performing Arts presents Moon Over Buffalo. The play follows George and Charlotte Hay, two fading stars of the 1950s in Buffalo, New York. But when they hear that a famous film director, Frank Capra, is coming to see them perform, they see their time to shine. Unfortunately for George and Charlotte, everything that could go wrong happens. The show stars Christian Perez, Mariana Gonzalez, Gabriela Hernandez, Alexis Phelps, Heinz Ludeking, Kyla Kond, Beltran Uba, and Daniel Olivia.
Yeah, so we're going to be performing here at the Roca Theater today, Thursday, 7:30, tomorrow, Friday, 7:30, and the day after, Saturday, also at 7:30. So yeah, I'll see you there.
Students from Mr. Pena's law class visited the University of Miami this past Tuesday to attend the Impact Conference on Immigration with American healthcare industry businessman, investor, and philanthropist Mike Fernandez.
One of the most recognizable personalities on television has been fired after an inappropriate sexual behavior complaint. NBC News fired 59-year-old Matt Lauer Wednesday morning. The network announced that Lauer was let go after a colleague complained Monday night. NBC says it was a first complaint against Lauer, but added they were presented with reason to believe this may not have been an isolated incident. Lauer's Today Show colleague Savannah Guthrie made the announcement at the top of the show, calling it a sad morning. She said she was heartbroken for Matt and also felt heartbroken for the woman who accused Lauer of misconduct. According to a source with knowledge of the situation, Lauer was informed of the network's decision late Tuesday night before he went to bed. Reporters for the New York Times and Variety had been investigating Lauer for several weeks. According to sources who had been contacted by Times, Lauer was part of NBC News for over 20 years. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has also announced several new steps to help the country fight the opioid crisis. Stefano Pinto has more.
Sessions announced Wednesday that there would be a new Drug Enforcement Administration division overseeing Kentucky, Tennessee, and West Virginia. That division will help law enforcement fight illicit drug trafficking in the Appalachians. In addition, millions of dollars in grants will be awarded to law enforcement in states dealing with serious opioid problems. Grants will also go to state agencies that have seized drug chemicals and labs. Sessions says President Trump is making the opioid crisis a top priority for his administration.
In a major speech after meeting with Myanmar's de facto leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, Pope Francis did not name the Rohingya, the country's persecuted Muslim minority. However, the pontiff called for respect of all ethnic groups. As he stood alongside Suu Kyi, Francis did not specifically address allegations of ethnic cleansing, but urged peaceful reconciliation, justice, and respect for human rights. Danny Esteban has the latest on this highly anticipated remarks.
In his first and likely most important speech of this trip in front of Aung San Suu Kyi and the government leaders of Myanmar, Pope Francis concentrated heavily on the theme of respect for the rights of ethnic minorities, excluding none, the Pope said. He spoke about human rights and the need for democratic order in Myanmar. The Pope did not specifically mention the Rohingya refugees, something which, going into this speech, some consider a sort of benchmark for the people's moral authority on the issue. Whether or not he would use the term Rohingya, which is not accepted by the Myanmar government, in his speech to them, he did not do that. He did speak about the rights of ethnic minorities here, particularly, quote, those who call this land their home. That is a reference to the Rohingyas, who have been here for centuries and yet are not recognized by the government of Myanmar or granted citizenship. And indeed, the military of Myanmar has been accused by the UN and the US of ethnic cleansing of the Rohingyas. So, on balance, a speech which likely will not satisfy those who wanted to hear stronger language from Francis, but at the same time perhaps furthers his objective in coming here, which is to have the ear of the leadership open to dialogue, and open to the possibility of building a full democracy and full human rights for the people of Myanmar.
Thank you, Danny. North Korea fired a ballistic missile early Wednesday local time. That's according to South Korea's staff, which said a missile was launched from Pyongyang, South Pyongyang, and headed east. The military confirms a probable missile launched from North Korea. A U.S. and intelligence officials had been growing increasingly puzzled as to why North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had not tested a ballistic missile in nearly 2 months. Before Wednesday's test, North Korea had fired 22 missiles without active warheads during 15 tests since February. U.S. officials say North Korea is continuing to develop its missile rocket fuel and engines, as well as targeting and guidance systems. The U.S. believes Pyongyang may be able to put a miniaturized warhead on a missile sometime in 2018, giving the theoretical capability to launch a missile with a warhead atop that could attack the U.S. All this as President Trump tweeted yesterday, just spoke to President Xi Jinping of China concerning the provocative actions of North Korea. Additional major sanctions will be imposed on North Korea today. The situation will be handled. Now stay with us as we bring you weather and sports after these messages.
Good morning, Belen. It's looking like a beautiful day outside today with partly cloudy and 20% chance of rain. Let's take a look at your weather for today. We're looking at temperatures in the low 80s and lows in the low 70s with relative humidity at 74% and your winds moving northeast at 11 miles per hour. Precipitation is 20%. Let's take a look at the weather for the next 3 days. All right, across the weekend, looking like it's going to be a beautiful weekend, sunny, with highs across the low 80s and lows across the high 60s, low 70s, with a 20% chance of rain. And that's it for weather today, guys. Let's pass it on to sports.
In sports today, last night the varsity basketball team took on St. Brennan in their first game of the season. The game was tight all along, but the Wolverines finished strong and won by a score of 54-52. The Wolverines take on Sunset Friday at home here at 7:30. Come out and support. The varsity soccer team plays the route at 6:30 p.m. The JV soccer team will host St. Thomas Aquinas at 3:30 p.m. The middle school blue and gold basketball teams play at University School. Game times are 5 and 6 p.m. After losing to the Cavaliers on Tuesday night by a score of 108-97, the Heat took on the Knicks last night and looked to bounce back, but that wasn't the case last night. Despite losing Kristaps Porzingis to a sprained ankle, Ernst Cantor had 22 points and 14 rebounds and led the Knicks to beat the Heat by a score of 115-86. The Heat take on the Hornets tomorrow at home and look to get back to 500. After losing to Pittsburgh 24-14 last Friday, the Hurricanes look to bounce back and keep their playoff chances alive against Clemson this Saturday. After Miami and Alabama lost, the Canes sit at number 7 in the new playoff ranking. A win this Saturday against number 1 Clemson could potentially into the playoffs. The game will be played at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte at 8 p.m. The Dolphins took on the Patriots this past Sunday at Gillette Stadium. New England at 9-2 won the 7th consecutive game and 3rd straight win over Miami. And the Dolphins, now at 4-7, have lost 5 in a row. The Dolphins played without quarterback Jay Cutler, who practiced Friday but remained in concussion protocol. Matt Moore struggled to find a rhythm in his second start of the season. He completed 23 of 34 passes for 215 yards and a touchdown, but also had 2 interceptions. He was also sacked 7 times. The Finns went on to lose the game by a score of 35-17. Now here's Raul with this week's fantasy update.
Hey guys, in this week's Fantasy Picks, we'll be looking at a quarterback, running back, and receiver looking to put up big numbers. First off at QB, we have Phillip Rivers, who's been on fire lately. This week he's going against a terrible Browns team that hasn't had an answer for opposing quarterbacks. He's averaging 23.5 fantasy points, and since it's a home game, this match should be electric for Phillip. At running back, Kenyon Drake is looking to be a solid choice at the running back position despite an average season thus far. Drake and the Dolphins will play against an injured Denver Broncos defensive line that has given up 9 touchdowns to opposing running backs in their past 4 games. Also adding to his stock is the fact that Damian Williams is out with a shoulder injury, so Drake will get the start. Finally, a flex option to take into consideration is Robbie Anderson from the Jets. Anderson is coming off a 5-touchdown streak and a huge game against Carolina where he hauled in 2 touchdowns. Against the Chiefs team that's been off their mark lately, allowing the second most yards to receivers, Anderson should have a great game. Now, hopefully these picks will give you the edge in this week, so tune in next time for your fantasy football update.
Thank you, Raul. That's all for sports. Now back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Marcos. The Grinch had better watch out. Santa Claus has been lifting weights this year. Albie Mushaney, a Santa from Salem, Oregon, has been pumping iron. He's competing for the world's strongest man, Masters title in North Carolina next month. Albie Mushaney's strongman Santa, I was terribly out of shape, obese, getting beat up by diabetes, and I realized, you know, if I want to see my kids graduate from high school, I was going to have to lose some weight and get in shape. Mushaney also launched Operation Big Bad Santa, which raises money to buy Christmas presents for the children of wounded vets. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook for all the latest news and pictures. That's all your news for today. I'm Marcel Hernandez.
And I'm Alex Suarez. From everyone here, have a wonderful day and stay golden, Wolverines.